What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, and sorry for not posting a video the last few days. I've been quite busy grinding it out for snapshots, and I think I'm at a point where I'm safe to sit for HEARTSTEEL Cup. As you can see here, I went from 570 LP to 915 LP in about the course of a day. So that's like 350 LP gained, and I feel like the patch has really clicked for me. I'm sitting right now. Hopefully you guys are going to see me playing in HEARTSTEEL Cup this weekend, but I wanted to show you guys what I've been doing on this patch that I think has given me a decent edge on, the other people, especially the people who are, say, hard forcing HEARTSTEEL, because, well, I think that is the strongest comp in the game, I would say. The problem is that it's horrendously contested, and people are playing it from spots where I don't think it's that good, actually. And so this strategy that I've been using recently, which is more of like a reroll type strategy, it's like a super fan reroll is the way I've been talking about it and thinking about it, where you always play around super fan units, and then you play a reroll comp based around those superfan units, because so many reroll comps can slot in really well with superfans. So obviously you play the normal superfan core of Lilia, Kennen, and Nico, and then almost always, pretty much always, you'll add in the Echo because he synergizes so well with those guys, and then you can add other units in depending on what items you hit and what units you hit. So, there's the Kaisa Bard Misfortune version where you can roll any of those three units. You can roll for Kaisa 3, MF 3, or Bard 3. If you get That's Jazz Baby, it's fabulously broken. There is the Seraphine variation where you play Seraphine plus Spell Weavers. There's also the Lulu variation where you play around Lulu. And so you can see here, first augment here, I get Shopping Spree, and I immediately snap that up. I think Shopping Spree is fantastic for this type of playstyle because you're going to get a bunch of extra free rerolls. The other nice thing about augments like Shopping Spree and augments like March of Progress when you're playing this style, I think both of those are insanely broken if you play this line, is that this comp can roll at every level. So you want to roll out at 6 to stabilize your board, as you'll see later in this game. But you also want to roll out at 7 so that you can, finish up your last few upgrades, find a few 4-costs. And then you also want to roll at 8 to finish your 4-cost 2 stars, and then also finish off your 3-cost 3 stars, as we'll see later in this game. So it's really nice to have augments like this or March that allow you to roll at each of those levels, because this is a comp that benefits from rolling at all of those intervals. So you'll see I slam the Morellos immediately. In my head, we have Morello, fully slammable, which is a fine early game item, and we picked up a Seraphine already, so in my head I'm already saying this is probably going to be a Seraphine game. The other thing that I do that I think a lot of people aren't doing right now is I lost streak. I know they changed streaking to be a lot less beneficial for lost streakers. You don't get as much streak gold, and the relative value of winning a fight is a lot higher because of that fact that you get less streak gold. But I feel like lost streak 1 is generally uncontested. This game you'll see no one else is contesting me for lost streak, so I can easily lost streak without having to into my board at the last round. And the other thing is that it guarantees that you can get the items that you want. So you see, I'll lose these first 3 fights here. I'm down to 80 HP. If you're looking for something like a tier, which I am looking for in this case because Seraphine BIS is Morello's plus a tier item, ideally Shojin. If you want to get a tier, you kind of need to be, relatively high pick order, because people are going to be taking these tiers for blue buffs for their Ezreals, because there's so many people playing the HEARTSTEEL comp. So yeah, the other cool thing about this comp, as we sort of get more into the game, is that this comp I think actually does quite well into HEARTSTEEL type games. Because you stabilize so hard stage 3 and early stage 4, even late stage 4, depending on the board that you hit. So, if someone's playing HEARTSTEEL, they're going to be pretty weak end of stage 3 because they're going to be econing up trying to go past level 8. And then even stage 4, if there are multiple people contesting the line, then they can oftentimes be quite weak because they just haven't hit everything. So that's something really nice about this comp, is you can almost always stabilize really hard at 3-2 into the end of stage 4, and that's going to give you a really big advantage over all the people who are taking a lot of damage, especially if, say, there's a bunch of HEARTSTEEL players who are also lost streaking. They get down to 20 HP, 30 HP or something. The other HEARTSTEEL players can either kill them off, or you can even kill them off because your board's so strong. So as you'll see here, I just get the 5 loss streak here. I really, really proud econ. You saw it in this early game. I ended up selling my quirky headliner that I bought just to save some HP, but I sold him because I just want to play for loss streak and I want to be able to make as much gold as possible. So we're making 40 with a 5 loss streak here, which is going to give us, along with our augment, as much econ as possible to roll. I opted to just slam the Morellos here onto the Cassante, which is probably something we could have done, or even on the Kaisa, but I was thinking, maybe there's a world I play like a Kaisa Bard setup, because Bard can hold the Morellos quite well, so I decide, okay, I'm not going to slam. And oh, the other thing that I'd point out is you say, like, you have a Seraphine, why don't you just put this Morello on Seraphine? It's a good item on Seraphine. Never, never, never put your items that are meant for Seraphine on Seraphine 1-star. You need these items too on the headliner version, because if I put Morello on the Seraphine here, that's going to mean that once I find the Seraphine headliner, I'm going to have to sell this copy of Seraphine, or not play the headliner, which both are horrible options. So we're going to take our last, loss as part of the loss streak here. I really wish we had fought someone weaker, but this guy has a Radiant TG, which is just a completely broken augment. So I only get to kill one here. So I'm down to 54, pretty low, but I got my shopping spree rolls. My items are also pretty awkward, actually. Augment-wise here, I think Crown Guarded is a fine augment in this comp, but I also get Vampirism here, which is just a fantastic pickup. So we're going to push 6, we're going to roll here, we're going to try to pick up the Super Fan units. Katarina is another option that I haven't played too much. You'll see here I pick up some other options. I pick up the Zed, I see the Ezreal, but I just think from this position, it just doesn't make that much sense to play around Zed Ezreal type stuff. And I find the Seraphine, so now we have Seraphine, and we have this Gnar online, so we get to play this 5 KDA board with 4 Superfan, and now the board is online. Also opt to make Redemption here because you don't really want to make blue buff on Seraphine. She has a pretty high mana cost. You really want those consistent casts. You really want something like a Shojin or an Adaptive Helm on her. So I don't opt to go for the blue buff. I just make Redemption, which it's not my favorite item, but I end up building it a decent amount of the time. It can be really good later game once you get a really, really tanky frontline, as you'll see is what happens in this comp the later that you go. And this is my positioning to take advantage of the Aegis. I think it's decent. It's kind of awkward with this positioning because you can't hit everything. Eventually, I end up like sort of moving my Nico down behind that Gnar and moving the Kennen over so that I can hit Nico as well. But, I obviously want to give 5 KDA to everyone, so that's the first priority. But as you can see here, look how strong my board is against these sort of like middling other boards that are not that strong. I am just cruising through them. And because of my early loss streak, 54 HP, I can guarantee take whatever I want off Carousel. And this Carousel's got something really nice for me. It is Ahri with a sword. I want this sword for Shojin, and I want the Ahri for Ahri, so it's just the perfect pickup here. It can get me into the Ahri so I can get rid of this random Kaisa that I have on the board. And I can also pick up the Shojin for Seraphine, which is her BIS, in my opinion. It's very, very strong. Other option is, of course, red buff if you don't get to Morellos. I have 7 Seraphines at this point, but I look at my matchups and I say, you know what? Most of the people that I'm fighting are actually pretty weak. This guy's really weak, this guy's really weak, this guy's really weak. I'm pretty sure I can win all of these fights without rolling at all. So I say, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and make 50 gold. I'm not going to use my free rerolls because I would prefer to use those on level 7, actually. The odds for 2 costs at level 6 versus level 7 are not that different, and the odds for 3 costs are a lot different. So I'd really, really like to be able to go 7, roll for Nico 2, Echo 2. So that is the idea behind not rolling here. However, I would say if there's an obvious mistake in this game, it's this next round. After this fight, Replay is in my pool now, and Replay actually has a quite strong board. And so I look at, I don't know if I even scout Replay here. I think I'm thinking too long about what my board is here, and I'm pretty sure this is just the board. But yeah, I think a while about my board here, move the item over to Echo, which is fine. But yeah, I don't scout Replay, and I roll into him, and his board is actually a very, very strong Superfan board as well, with Twin Terror Annie with 3 item. So I end up losing to this, which really, really sucks. If I had scouted this board, I probably would have realized that I should have just pushed 7 here and used my free rerolls to hit Seraphine 3 and some upgrades here. But I was thinking on the last couple of fights and didn't realize that I actually need to roll for this. So mistake out of me. But now we get to go level 7. We're very rich, and we have all of these free rerolls to use on level 7, which is really, really nice. We can use these to pick up Seraphine, and ideally Echo 2 and Nico 2 is the ideal. We pick up an Echo here. We pick up a bow and another glove here. So I'm thinking Thief's Gloves in this spot. I use the Thief's Gloves to pop off the support item from Echo because I'm thinking like, okay, it's actually like pretty awkward here if I don't make the TG on Echo to put it on anyone else. And I pick up the Lulu too, get the Lulu, and I also pick up the Sona, which is a nice pickup. She can be my next level 4/5 Spellweaver. She's not the best unit all on her own because it's going to be really, really hard for her to cast, but, she's okay. She's all right. But yeah, we're going to win this fight, and you can see, now you're going to see how strong this comp is, stage 4 once you've fully spiked with the Seraphine 3. Augment-wise, Jeweled Lotus is just fantastic here. You don't really want anything else. It's just very, very good. And I look at my econ here, and I say, you know what? I could actually level for this Sona and still make 10 gold, I'm down. I'm down to spike my board for this stage and just try to play for as aggressive as a win streak as I possibly can. And I go back and forth between attack speed and AP here. I really like AP when you're playing Spellweavers. Is it called Spellweaver? Yeah, Spellweaver. I said Spellslinger earlier. It's really, really nice in this comp because she just gets the amount of AP from all the other Spellweavers casting that she can just one-shot once she casts. The problem is actually getting to that cast. As you can see in this fight, she doesn't get to the cast, so she's... I don't know. Sona's a weird unit at this point in the set, I would say, because, you know, if you don't have a bunch of items on her, it's hard for her to cast. She's really like a nice level 9 unit, but she's actually pretty mediocre right now. But I still leave her on the damage setting just because I feel like the big burst is really nice. And I also don't feel like I need that much attack speed. I'm getting attack speed from Aegis, so I'm like, you know what? It's probably fine to not go attack speed Sona. I moved the Lulu because I'm afraid of getting AoE'd, and this is a board where the AoE is actually really, really annoying. This Vex plus... Samira board where the Vex is really, really annoying with the AoE, but you can see we absolutely clear a Twin Terror Vex Samira board just because our front line is so solid with these 2-star 3 costs for this stage of the game, and this Seraphine unit is a monster. At this point, I think I'm looking at, I would imagine, Static Shiv. Yeah, I ideally want Static Shiv in this position because I don't have Shred yet, and Shred is really, really nice when you're playing any kind of comp that does damage. So I get the Static Shiv. I opt to make it on the Sona here, which in hindsight, maybe it should have just gone on the Lulu. There is a concept where if you build too much attack speed on Lulu, she actually like misses the mana generation on an auto attack, but I don't believe Static Shiv is too much. So, though I guess it probably would be with Aegis as well, but in this formation, I'm not Aegising her. But I just want to put it on Sona so that Sona can get to that cast. So, yeah, but you can see here, look, we're fighting what is a pretty strong board, right? They have Ezreal on their, I think that was Ezreal too with like BIS. And we just clear them because the Sona does or not the Sona's actually kind of worthless, but the Seraphine does so much damage. I feel like Chosen Seraphine is insane. I think this is the strongest version of the comp. Lulu is like a close second, and then the like the Jazz version is like a little bit worse than that. I don't really love this positioning out of myself here because I just let my Sona get absolutely destroyed here. This is a comp that you can sometimes have issues with because you lack a lot of single target damage. But look, they're level 9 and we just clear them again with it. Like, look how strong this board is just off the Seraphine. And also, of course, we have very good augments. But yeah, I think Sona should always be in the corner here. I don't know why. I want to swap her to the middle so that she doesn't get a Khalid, but like, I'm pretty sure that guy did not have that itemized of an Akali, and like she ended up getting Viego'd anyway, so kind of weird. Item-wise here, I want to pick up a tank item here, and then I feel like I have to just make Gwinsu's onto this Sona, so those are my options here. I just go for Protector's Vow onto the Nico, which is really solid. I'm in this point where I say like, okay, I could probably roll for Ari2, and I just roll a few times and find it pretty much immediately, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, this is another fight. And actually, I don't know. This is TF. Who cares about this? Where, you know, I saw all these Akali players in my board, in my pool. I wanted to move Sona over. But yeah, look at that AP Sona damage. The only downside is my Lulu polymorphs the TF as it's casting, and he just gets the full cast off, but it's fine because Seraphine does so much damage. I hate so much these stupid situations where, you know, like the TF is in the middle of the cast, the Lulu polymorphs it, and it doesn't matter. Okay, another important point to point out here. I'm scouting around to see how many Nikos are out, because I have 5 Nikos at this point. I need to go for Nico 3. Something that I thought about for a while with this comp is like, oh, you know, maybe you can just go 9. Like, I've been in spots before where I've pushed 9 and tried to get in a random... Also, this positioning is just horrible. I moved the Sona up because I want to give her the attack speed, but it just completely griefs my positioning and then I lose the fight. I think maybe without this, I would have had a shot, but that was just terrible. Please, like, just... The attack speed is not worth the Sona dying and baiting the Zed into my backline. That was really bad. But yeah, I need to find Nico 3 for the board to be stable. It's really important because without it, the board lacks a lot of frontline. I've like I was saying before I interrupted myself, I've played before for just like an Alawi on level up, but it really doesn't do anything. Nico 3 and Echo 3 are, I think, the most important things after, of course, you hit your main carry to hit in this comp to actually be successful. And so I just want to roll at 8. I don't care about pushing 9. I want to hit Nico 3 and Echo 3 because I would much rather hit Nico 3 and Echo 3 and be stuck on 8 than go 9 and just add a random Alawi that doesn't do anything. So yeah. Speaking of those tank units, I want to go for another tank item here. There was a Morello's on carousel on a Nico, and I thought about it, but I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to hit Nico regardless. I'm just going to take this Warmogs here so that I can guarantee the item for Nico. And I start rolling here, and I find a couple of Echoes, so I say, okay, you know what, I'm going to dip down to 20, or I really say I'm going to dip down to like 30 gold and then end up dipping all the way down to 0 here. I think because the lobby looks pretty strong, and I end up finding Echo 3, which is great, which is wonderful. I think maybe I should have moved Nico items over to Echo at this point. The downside is, of course, you lose that Nico pair, the 6 Nicos that we have, but it would allow me to have, like, real tank items on Echo, which would be nice. But look how tanky this front line is now. And Echo is not a slouch, right? He's still doing decent damage. I think this is just so important about this comp. It's one of the things that really clicked for me about these comps is that you have to hit the Nico 3, Echo 3. And the nice thing is, in this meta where there's so much HEARTSTEEL, it's actually really easy to hit them because, like, you saw me scouting around, it's just the pentakill people who are holding a few Nicos, and then obviously, like, the TF players who are holding, like, Echoes and stuff like that, but it's really not difficult to hit these units. We absolutely clear Invective's board here because we just have so much frontline, and, you know, he's stuck on 8 with not all the upgrades that we have, and yeah, we're just chilling at this point, coasting to a top placement, see how high that we can get here. I think Nico 3 would be really nice, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Basically, if we can get to Nico 3, then we'll think about pushing 9, but I think Nico 3 is way too important. We get offered a TG here, which is fantastic because our Lulu has no items. It's going to be some tankiness for our Lulu. Like, even this setup, it's really nice, right? We're just going to sit in this formation for a little while, and then we're going to move the Lulu to the corner here. And then the idea is that the Akali's probably just going to get stuck on this Lulu that has Gargoyle Sunfire on it. I also finally end up moving the Nico down so that she can redemption the Echo 3, which I thought was pretty nice so that she can sort of spread some of this tankiness to Echo. And yeah, just look how tanky my board is. It's just impossible for them to kill anything. The Lulu, the random Lulu 3 is no slouch either. She is doing work, doing damage, getting cast off. I pick up another Nico here on 50 gold. And the main thing is that I'm afraid of is this guy who is just insanely strong. You know, a lot of HEARTSTEEL cash out. So I say, you know what, I'm just going to roll down here and try to find Nico 3 because I can kill this guy now if I hit. And I hit Nico 3 here, which is a huge upgrade for this board like I was talking about. They have the Zed on the left side again. Nico moves up, similar to the last fight, but this time I don't have my Sona so far up, which is pretty nice. The problem is she still gets one-tapped by the Ezreal ult, but look at this board, man. I thought for sure that this fight was going to be a loss, but I won this fight with my Sona getting one-shot by Ezreal ult and then my Seraphine getting killed by an Ezreal ult. How insane is it that I thought for sure that fight was a loss just because of, like, how bad the fight RNG was for me there, but I actually win. This fight, the main thing I'm thinking about is trying to get my units not dazzled if possible and not have my Sona get one-tapped by a random TF cast. So I move everybody over to the left side here, which I thought would be good, but then my front line walks up to the left side over here, which means that the TF gets to dazzle my Seraphine and just gets to snipe her through all these tanks. So this was actually pretty unfortunate positioning, and I end up actually losing this fight, which feels quite bad. But we're going to go into Carousel here, can pick up another item. I don't actually remember what I went for here. I was thinking, I guess, maybe Sona item, but there's not a Sona item, so I just go for the only takeable item, which is Gargoyle. But yeah, nothing too crazy that we can pick up here. There's the Alawi, but I don't want to fit the Alawi onto this board just because I love all the units that are on here. So I decided to move more of my front line a little bit to the left, and then I think I do I put a unit in this little cubby here? Yes, I do. So yeah, I move all my units a bit closer together, put the Sona this far back, but the main thing is now my front line walks up straight instead of walking to the left, which means they sit in front of the TF, and then he doesn't get a cast off onto my back line, which means my units aren't dazzled, which means they can do a ton of damage, and it's a wrap. We win the game. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy board. You guys can check out my lol chest for more games on this type, but you can see, like, every game almost is me playing a reroll comp. I even played Jack's reroll, but, you know, it's a Seraphine reroll game, a Lulu reroll game, an MF Kaisa game, another this is Lulu reroll, MF plus random big shots and stuff, Lulu reroll, and you know, it went quite well for me, so hopefully it works for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.